Welcome back, golfers. This week we're headed to TPC Sawgrass, home of the Players' Championship, and one of the most strategic, most punishing, and most unforgiving tests on the tour. In this full hole-by-hole breakdown, we're going to walk through all 18 holes at TPC Sawgrass. All right, let's head to the first tee. Hole 1 is a par 4, playing 424 yards. This opener is a slight dogleg to the right, and the landing area is narrow enough that you can't just warm up into the round. You have to commit to a start line and shape. The ideal drive favors the right side of the fairway, because that's what gives you the cleanest angle into the green. But the right side comes with real teeth: a long fairway bunker, a lateral water hazard, and grass bunkers are all waiting for anything that leaks even slightly too far right. The second shot is just as demanding. The green here is long and narrow, and it's protected from every direction. Large maintained bunkers guard the front and left, while grass bunkers protect the front right, the right side, and the rear, meaning misses don't just leave chips, they leave difficult recoveries. Hole 2 is a par 5, playing 555 yards. And even with the tour adding 23 yards, this is still one of the best early round scoring chances at TPC Sawgrass. A legitimate eagle look for anyone who drives it reasonably well. Off the tee, the hole asks right-handers for a high draw, a shot that fits the shape of the hole and sets up the possibility of getting home in 2. If you turn it over properly and find the fairway, most players can take on the green with their second. But the aggressiveness comes with a warning label. From roughly 175 yards out, a small pond and a large fairway bunker on the right begin to influence both the layup zone and the line into the green, especially for anyone trying to attack with a fairway wood or long iron. Around the putting surface, the penalty for missing is severe. Deep bunkers guard both sides of the green, and numerous grass bunkers surround the rest of the target. So a slightly missed second shot can turn an eagle attempt into a tough up and down just to stay on track. And with the mound circling the green, it becomes a stadium-like moment. Spectators get a clear view of the full drama, players going for it in 2, and players scrambling to save par when it goes wrong. Hole 3 is a par 3, playing 182 yards. And after 2 holes that invite aggression, this is your first true precision test. A medium-length par 3 where the only goal is control. From the tee, there's a maintained spectator mound on the left that gives fans a clear view of the entire hole. And it also highlights what makes this par 3 tricky. Every miss is visible, and most misses are punished. The tee shot calls for a middle to short iron, but the real challenge is the target. The green is 2-tiered and slopes from back to front, so distance control is everything. If you're on the wrong level, you're suddenly putting defensively. And if you're above the hole, the putt can get away from you quickly. Short is dangerous because a bunker fronts the green, catching anything underclubbed. Miss right, and you'll find grass bunkers, which make for awkward, unpredictable recoveries. And the biggest penalty is left. A large bunker guards the left and rear left portion of the green, swallowing shots that overdraw or get tugged. Hole 4 is a par 4, playing 387 yards. And even though it's short by tour standards, this is one of those holes at TPC Sawgrass where precision matters more than power. Off the tee, the landing area is narrow and heavily defended. Players have to thread a drive that avoids a lateral water hazard and a deep, meandering fairway bunker on the right. Miss left isn't much better. Very large, severely sloped mounds guard that entire side and can kick a ball into trouble or leave an uneven stance. Because of the hazards and the tight shape, most players will choose a long iron or fairway wood for control. And the reward for a well-placed tee shot is a middle to short iron approach into one of the toughest greens on the course. That's where the hole really bites. The green is very undulating and 2-tiered, with treacherous pin positions that can turn a good shot into a scary putt. And it's protected on every side. Water guards the front and left, while small but deep bunkers defend the right side and the rear. Hole 5 is a par 4, playing 471 yards. And this is the brute of the front 9, the longest par 4 at TPC Sawgrass, and one of the holes where par feels like you stole one. It's a dogleg right with a generous landing area, so from the tee, it almost looks inviting. But the defense is subtle and smart. A long fairway bunker runs down the right side and continues past the typical landing zone, catching drives that chase the aggressive line or ride the slope. Because of the length, most players will hit driver. And even from a solid tee shot, you're typically left with a long to middle iron into a green that's anything but forgiving. The target is deep, narrow, and rolling, which means you're not just trying to hit the green, you're trying to hit the correct section and hold it. And the green complex is heavily protected. Grass bunkers, maintained bunkers, a waste area, and palm trees all surround the approach, punishing shots that miss even slightly offline. Hole 6 is a par 4, playing 413 yards. And this is a hole where TPC Sawgrass forces you to hit a positional tee shot. Not because driver can't work, but because precision matters more than power. There's a tree back to the right of the tee that's mostly a visual distraction. And while the hole has been stretched by 20 yards, the strategy hasn't changed much. The best play is still a low stinger with a 3-wood or iron to find the correct section of fairway. The landing zone is tightly defended. Push it right, and you're immediately dealing with dense palm and pine trees that shut down angle and recovery. Miss left, and you'll find trouble just as quickly. 2 fairway bunkers sit on that side, and a lateral water hazard lurks nearby to punish anything that gets greedy. From a good tee shot, the hole becomes about setting up the approach. The fairway here is designed with a specific landing area that gives a level lie, and that matters because the green is slightly elevated, 2-tiered, and heavily contoured, sloping right to left and back to front. If you're coming in from the wrong angle or an uneven stance, holding the correct tier becomes a challenge. Around the green, dye adds even more protection. Bunkers, grass bunkers, and clustered palm trees tighten the target and punish shots that miss into the wrong zone. Hole 7 is a par 4, playing 451 yards. And this is one of those sawgrass holes that looks straightforward, until you factor in the wind and the hazard squeezing the drive. It's a long par 4 with a slight dogleg right, and the tee shot is framed by trouble on both sides. Down the left, a large fairway bunker runs alongside the hole, with a lateral water hazard also threatening anything pulled or overdrawn. Miss right and you're dealing with trees, which can block the angle and force a recovery instead of an aggressive approach. Once you reach the green, the challenge doesn't ease up. The target is defended by maintained bunkers in the front and on the left, and there's severe slope falling away off the back, so long as just as costly as short. But the real variable here is the wind. Depending on direction, hole 7 can play like a mid-iron approach, or it can turn into a demanding long iron test where simply holding the green becomes difficult. Hole 8 is a par 3, playing 236 yards. And this is the heavyweight par 3 at TPC Sawgrass, the longest on the course, and a hole where simply finding the green feels like a win. From the tee, players are forced to hit a long iron or even a fairway wood, and that club selection tells you everything. This isn't a hit-it-close par 3. It's a survival par 3 that demands a full carry over a maze of trouble. The green itself is no relief. It's deep, narrow, and sloping, meaning the target plays even smaller than it looks. And dye surrounds it with protection. Numerous bunkers and grass bunkers guard the putting surface, ready to punish any shot that comes up short, leaks right, or bails out left. Hole 9 is a par 5, playing 601 yards. And this is the monster of TPC Sawgrass, the longest hole on the course, and one that almost never gives players a true 2-shot chance. A new tee was introduced in 2022, giving officials the option to stretch this hole past 600 yards, and the strategy is clear. This is a 3-shot par 5 for almost everyone. Off the tee, danger shows up immediately. A large lake and bunker on the right are positioned to collect drives that leak or get overly aggressive. Miss left and you'll find woods, which don't just cost you distance, They can completely choke off the second shot and force a recovery. And that's why this is one of the toughest par 5 holes on tour. The second shot is brutally demanding. Players are often hitting from imperfect lies, with angles restricted by trees, and the priority becomes advancing the ball safely into a good layup number. Even then, the hole doesn't give you a comfortable wedge. The third shot plays into a small green that slopes from the front toward the back right, making distance control tricky and leaving fast putts if you're on the wrong level. Miss the green and the penalty is immediate. A severely banked bunker guards the left and rear, with an additional small bunker ready to catch shots that bail out. Hole 10 is a par 4, playing 419 yards. And this is a classic Sawgrass positioning hole. A dogleg left that looks manageable, but only if you put the tee shot in the right place. The drive plays into a narrow landing area, with trouble framing both sides. A large bunker runs down the left side of the fairway, while very dense trees on the right punish anything pushed or overcut. Because of that squeeze, most players will choose a fairway wood off the tee to prioritize placement over raw distance. From the fairway, the approach is usually a middle to short iron, but the green is deceptive. It looks big from the landing area, yet in reality it's narrow and fades away from the player, so shots that feel safe can run off the far side or miss into trouble. The protection is subtle but punishing. 2 bunkers guard the front right, and grass bunkers crowd the entire left side, making misses left especially difficult. And because the green supports a wide variety of pin placements, the real key to this hole is where you drive it. The better the position off the tee, the easier it is to control your angle and attack the correct section of this sloping, deceptive target. Hole 11 is a par 5, playing 573 yards. And this is one of the most strategic par 5s at TPC Sawgrass, because the tee shot decides whether you're attacking or laying back. With the new tee adding about 15 to 20 yards, reaching in 2 now requires a long, accurate drive down the right side. But overhanging trees tighten that line and make it uncomfortable. Miss left and you're dealing with a big fairway bunker and dense trees that can block the next shot. The fairway is split by a lateral water hazard and bunkers, so players have a choice. Lay up safely to the right for a wedge in, or take the aggressive line from the left and try to set up a shot at the green. But the closer you get, the more dangerous it becomes, with a long bunker wrapping the landing area and green, and water that continues behind the putting surface. Hole 12 is a par 4, playing 365 yards. And this is one of the most tempting holes on the course. A short par 4 where players can drive the green most days, but only if they're willing to accept real risk. From the tee, you're immediately faced with a decision. Lay back for position or attack the green. The aggressive line brings eagle or tap-in birdie into play, but it's surrounded by trouble. Water guards the entire left side of the green, and the right side is protected by several pot bunkers and difficult terrain, so there's no comfortable miss. For players who choose not to drive it, accuracy still matters. A large fairway bunker stretches down the entire left side of the fairway, squeezing the landing zone and forcing a controlled tee shot to the safe side. And even if you find the green, it's not over. The putting surface has multiple tiers and slopes dramatically toward the water, meaning a shot that lands slightly wrong can funnel into trouble, or leave a treacherous putt with big break and speed. Hole 13 is a par 3, playing 183 yards, and this is one of the most scenic par 3s at TPC Sawgrass. From the tee, the pressure is immediate because water guards the entire left side of the hole, and it visually dominates the shot. Most players will hit a short to middle iron, but there's no free swing here. You have to pick a line and commit. The green is the real challenge. It's 3-tiered and slopes drastically toward the water on the left, so anything slightly pulled or anything landing on the wrong section with too much spin can feed left and get punished. Even when you're safely dry, being on the wrong tier can turn birdie into a defensive 2-putt. And if you bail out away from the water, Dye still has an answer. Two small but deep bunkers protect the green and catch shots that leak or come up short on the safe side. Hole 14 is a par 4, playing 485 yards. And this is one of the most demanding holes on the entire property. A par 4 that rivals number 18 for pure difficulty. It starts with a brutally tight tee shot into a narrow two-tiered driving area. Down the left, the hole is bordered by a narrow fairway bunker running parallel to the landing zone, with a lateral water hazard beside it. So anything tugged or overdrawn gets punished immediately. Miss right and the hole doesn't forgive you there either. Large, deep grass bunkers built into a mound loom over the entire right side and swallow drives that leak away from the water. And even once you thread the needle off the tee, the second shot is still intimidating. Between the fairway and the green sits a vast bunker, forcing a clean strike and a committed carry. Exactly the kind of hazard that destroys approaches hit with hesitation. The green complex is massive and brutally contoured. The putting surface is very large, with severe undulations and long slopes. So being on the green isn't enough. You need the correct section. Defensively, a maintained bunker guards the front left, while other bunkers are tucked among very large grass bunkers on the right and rear, punishing misses in every direction. Hole 15 is a par 4, playing 470 yards. And this is where the closing stretch at TPC Sawgrass starts to squeeze you. A demanding dogleg right that asks for a committed tee shot, both visually and strategically. The hole begins with a drive through a chute of trees, and it forces players to carry water right off the tee, which immediately adds pressure. You can't just steer it into play. You have to choose a shape, pick a start line, and trust it. The fairway protection is relentless. A fairway bunker runs down the entire right side until it reaches a paved path. Then it resumes on the left side of that path and stretches almost all the way to the green, meaning the bunker is in play for far longer than most players expect. It's one of those sawgrass design tricks. Even a drive that looks fine can end up running into sand. The approach plays into a green that's guarded on every side. A large bunker protects the left, and a small bunker sits at the right front, ready to catch conservative shots that bail out away from trouble. Then, behind and to the safe side, grass bunkers guard the right and rear, making it difficult to scramble if you miss in the wrong spot. Hole 16 is a par 5, playing 537 yards. And even with 15 yards added this year, this is still the par 5 where players can make a move, reachable in 2 for almost everyone, and designed to tempt aggression. The tee shot sets up a clear decision. Go for the green in 2 or lay up and wedge it close. Most players can reach in 2, but the second shot is where Sawgrass tightens the screws. From about 150 yards short of the green, a dangerous complex begins on the right side. A large lateral water hazard, a bunker, and a bulkhead. All of them positioned exactly where a bold second shot wants to fly and land. It's not just water at the green. It's a long stretch of intimidation that punishes anything pushed or overcut. Trying to play safely left isn't clean either. A cluster of oak trees blocks a direct line to the green, so if you bail too far left off the fairway, you can take the green out of play entirely. For players who choose not to attack in 2, the layup still isn't automatic. The second shot must be threaded into a narrow layup area that's protected by a grass bunker, the water hazard, and those oak trees, meaning even the safe play demands precision. The green itself is built to amplify the pressure. It's two-tiered, sloping left to right toward the water, and the water continues by wrapping around the rear so approaches that land on the wrong tier or release too far can feed toward trouble. Hole 17 is a par 3, playing 141 yards. And this is quite possibly the most recognizable hole in golf, the legendary Island Green at TPC Sawgrass, where the entire tournament can turn on a single swing. From the tee, the shot is short on the card, but enormous in consequence. The green is two-tiered, meaning you're not just trying to hit the surface. You're trying to hit the correct section, or you can be left with a terrifying putt across levels. There's also no room to miss it safely. A small bunker fronts the green, ready to catch anything underclubbed. But the real danger is everywhere else because water surrounds the target and creates instant penalty for anything pushed, pulled, or mishit. And that's why club selection here is everything. With tricky spring winds swirling through the stadium setting, this hole can play like a soft wedge one moment, and a completely different number the next. At the Players' Championship, this isn't just a par 3. It's a pressure test. And year after year, the championship is won or lost right here. Hole 18 is a par 4, playing 462 yards. And this is one of the greatest finishing holes in golf. A closing par 4 that doesn't just demand execution, it demands a decision. It's a dogleg left that borders the lake, and the tee shot is all about risk versus reward. The hole tempts players to hug the waterline as closely as possible because the closer you play to the lake, the shorter the approach and the better the angle into the green. But that aggressive line comes with the ultimate penalty. Leak it even slightly and you're wet. And suddenly the tournament is over. The safe play is out to the right, but it's not truly safe either. Bail too far right and you can find rough and trees, which make controlling the approach difficult and bring big numbers into play. The green complex finishes the job. A collection of grass bunkers guards the front right, catching conservative approaches that steer away from the water. And on the opposite side, a lone bunker punishes shots hit left and long, the exact miss that can happen when adrenaline creeps into the swing. And that is TPC Sawgrass. 18 holes where the scorecard never tells the full story. From the narrow landing areas on the front 9, to the pressure-filled decisions on 11 and 12. And then that closing stretch, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, where every shot feels like it matters. That's why the Players' Championship doesn't just crown the best ball striker. It crowns the best decision-maker under pressure. If you enjoyed this hole-by-hole breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Which hole at Sawgrass scares you the most? 17 or 18? See you on the next tee.